right back, Charlie's definitely.
People deluded, I'm back again.
Come on, Ian, bro. Come on.
Because you always used to active when defenders, I think, it's like. Because you always used to active when defenders, I think, it's like. Because you always used to active when defenders, I think, it's like.
People deluded, I'm back again.
Come on, Ian, bro. Come on.
Enough of all that. People deluded, I'm back again. First things first, I appreciate you lot tuned in. Hope everyone's having a great weekend off of the back of a fantastic week. Obviously, fingers, everything crossed, people. Arsenal fans specifically, that we get 3 points and bounce back tomorrow against Crystal Palace. On the topic of Crystal Palace across Twitch and YouTube, people, where's my manners? In fact, Twitch gang, one love, YouTube the same way. But as I was saying, Arsenal against Crystal Palace kicks off at 2 p.m. tomorrow. I'll be live from 1 p.m. for those of you that will be part of my watch along. As I said, we've got to bounce back. We're out the FA Cup. We're out the League Cup. We're out the Europa League. It's done now. Whether we could have done better, should have done better, couldn't have done better, blessing in disguise, this, that, and the other. Whatever we have to say, it's done now, people. We have to move forward. Again, I don't check the league table, but Mikel Arteta, the manager, and obviously our captain, Martin Odegaard, said we've got 11 cup finals. Let's play like it's specifically 11 FA Cup finals, in my opinion, and maybe we have something to smile at the end of the season. Trophies, apologies, are not a certainty for any player, but definitely where this season is concerned, I believe that whether it's what we're fighting for allegedly in the domestic campaign, what was obviously going out of the Europa League, FA Cup, where Arsenal, we always want to go as far as you can. League Cup, yeah, it's not the most important of things, but similar to those who won it in Manchester United, we've got a new project, all of that. Anytime you can win a trophy, why not? And if you're in a trophy, again, do what you can, especially if you're Jorginho, Trossard, Granit, Partey, you lot are always, pushing on 30. You're not going to be around forever. You want to try and win whatever you can, but we need to move forward now. Crystal Palace isn't going to be easy, people. I don't believe it's going to be easy for any stretch of the imagination. It should be easy. On paper, we should rock up there and win the game, but nothing's assured in life, really. And I think Crystal Palace, regardless of the fact that they haven't won this year, haven't won in 12. I think they got their first 3 shots on target against Brighton midweek versus, I didn't think they had a shot on target in the previous 3 games. They've got rid of their manager, Patrick Vieira, been linked with Roy Hodgson, sit 12th, which on the back of it, you should be safe. But if you look at the league table, probably changed a bit now with the 3 o'clock games. And last time I checked, I think Leeds were battering Wolves. Southampton are rock bottom, and I think they're losing against Spurs, so it is what it is. But anything from 12th at the time before these games, anything from 12th to 20th, there wasn't that many points. So Crystal Palace are fighting for their lives. We haven't defended as well as we have previously this season. So I believe with the Zahas, with the Ezes, with the Elises, all of these guys, they have problems to give us, really, regardless of the fact that they're not scoring enough goals or keeping enough clean sheets to trouble Arsenal and make it a nervous day at the Emirates tomorrow. That being said, we need to move to them. I'm not entertaining nothing else other than that. We need to move to them, really. We've got these lot who are fighting for their lives. After this, we've got Leeds after the international break who are fighting for their lives. After that, you've got Liverpool away. Everybody's playing for something. Liverpool trying to claw back their season. The same being said for Crystal Palace and Leeds. And it's a nasty time to go into the international break off the back of a L, if that was to happen, really. It leaves a nasty sting in the teeth, really. And obviously with what happened on Thursday, even more. So yeah, big up you lot, people. We need to react against them. I changed my mind on players. Plus, we've got a new right back link. What? Let me know, man. What's the link to this new fullback? And also, what have you changed your mind on specifically? What go on, Kelly, we saying? Drink our skin dust, bro. I can't lie. You have to give credit to Sporting Lisbon. But we have to hold our licks. They caught a body. I can't lie. They ripped us. They, Tomiyasu bust his leg after getting skilled up. My man's mocking Jackish celebration. They won on penalties. They did us over 2 legs. Gonalves, absolutely embarrassed Ramsdale. I don't know if Ramsdale will concede a better goal, in his career. Shades of bro, it's a mad thing, really. They did what they did in it, really, and credit to Sporting. I hope you go on and win it, really. Again, speaking of the Europa League, I was just reading Arsenal news earlier today, and apparently the Juventus chief came out and said we felt Arsenal could have won it. So yeah, man. Obviously, now I just support whoever plays against the English teams. Between Napoli with the form you're in and Real Madrid, or even Bayern Munich, one of you lot, even Benfica, Inter, AC, one of you lot need to win the Champions League. Don't want a British club to win that. Europa League, I can't lie. I personally think United are going to do it, but I hope Sevilla, them Spanish clubs are on it in the Europa League. Sevilla, Villarreal have shown. Hopefully, they've got something for Ten Hag's men, but that was an opportunity, man. It was an opportunity. I know people can say focusing on the league and do we have the squad for this and that. I mean, sorry, but like what? Last year we was playing 1 game a week because that was our first year in a hot minute, or maybe even 2 now, because I've kind of disillusioned myself to not being in Europe. Bit of a bougie Arsenal fan, I know. But we've known for a few years, whether it's Europa League or the Champions League, we need a squad. So I haven't really got much sympathy for that. And yeah, for me, it's going to take a bit of time for the Europa League wins to heal, man. What's your thoughts on guys dismissing the Europa League? Glenn, I kind of touched on it. I think it's a waste man thing, if I'm honest with you. You think the players are doing that? Mikel Arteta ain't won nothing as a European manager in Europe, and that's probably one of his question marks around managing Europe, going into potentially the Champions League. Saka, Martinelli, all of these guys ain't won these things. Only Jorginho can look around and say, I've won that. And also, what better way to bow out of the Europa League by Arsenal fans? Hopefully we're in the Champions League and we never talk about the Europa again. But you're in a competition, go and win it. I know that you could somewhat draw some positives and say you're focusing on the league. But again, does that mean you're assured to win it? Yeah, you got a 5-point gap, opens it up even more with about, I believe, like 8 points or something, because City are not playing this week, going into the international break. It's a time for us to reassess what we've done good, done bad, and come back hitting hard after exactly that. But this in the Europa League, silly, man. You're in a competition to win it. Football career is short. When you're establishing a new squad and a new project and that hunger for titles and trophies, anytime you can get your hands on anything is good. As I say, I think as fans specifically of top 6 clubs, we are a bit snobby regarding players and regarding certain competitions. But if you look at all the active footballers across, let's just say the top 5 leagues in Europe, to make it a bit easy, how many have actually won trophies? Clearly, Bear have trophies, but how many haven't? What's the chances of some of them players never experiencing in whatever country and competition they play in an opportunity of winning a trophy? It's probably very slim. So you're already defining the odds. And a couple of these players have had a little taste of it. They've won again. Why? They've won stuff at other clubs. Obviously, a couple man here have won the Community Shield, better yet, the English Super Cup, and the FA Cup. So yeah, man, win some stuff. And I saw the Europa League as a bit of a trial run. Obviously, there's more games in the Europa League. The context is different. But initially, where the Europa League was concerned, I was a big fan of Mikel Arteta going strong from the jump, going strong with his team. Because if we're in the Champions League couple group stages, yeah, you might have to rotate players, but we all know what needs to be said on that regards. So I liked it. But yeah, man, I saw this as a sort of project run, because if we could get far in this, manage European games with the Premier League, then obviously if we are in the Champions League next season, that's what you're going to have to do, really. Whether that's around certain players starting games, whether that's around rotating players, is another thing. But I respect everyone's opinion, but for me personally, dismissing that is silly. If you haven't smashed the like button, make sure you've done such. Is Tommy really out for the season? Again, we'll have to wait on Mikel Arteta to speak, but again, if we go off what journalists are saying and whatnot, then it appears quite bleak for him in that regards. We're going to look at the news and whatnot in a bit. Man, am I worried about Saliba? Even if he doesn't start, Rob Holding played well on Thursday. We can survive this game without Saliba. We're going to need him after the break for sure. B, I agree with you. I fully agree with you. I kind of echoed those comments. I think in theory, Leeds, Palace, yeah, we'd rather have Saliba. And to be honest with you, the way Leeds make emotional football and the way Crystal Palace playing some of their individual players, form or not, I'd rather have at least even the luxury of Ben White moving over there and bringing in Tomiyasu, or Tomiyasu actually playing centre back and keep Benjamin where he's at. But in theory, we should. Anfield away is long though. But at the same time, you I can argue you should be worried, because Crystal Palace sometimes give us a game. I know of recent we've done well against them, and I know things are going wrong for Crystal Palace, as we've kind of alluded to. But just on the skill sets of their players, IC3 striker, you pin him to Holding. Holding don't really want to run against you. I think by Haaland standards, I think Holding gave a good account of himself against Haaland, but he was stressed out. Holding, apologies, likes to get tight. because, you know, and kind of bank on not getting skinned. Saliba can get tight, Gabriel can get tight, but they'll rather just kind of let you, especially Saliba, he'll kind of, and he can do it a bit better, be a bit more aggressive in situations. But if you turn them, they've got the athleticism and the pace to make the recovery. So it's not exactly panic stations like what we saw with Rob Holding actually before the red card. And to be fair, Cedric as well at Spurs last season. So in theory, we should. But if you're Leeds, surely you target that. If you're Palace before Leeds, surely you target that area. I'm not too sure. Again, when I think of Crystal Palace, just looking at our team, we have, even on Thursday, we've been quite open on the transition. We've been very open on the transition. We are susceptible to the counter-attack and wide areas. If you were to say any strengths that Crystal Palace have respectfully to their midfielders and their obviously midfielders and defenders, it's in the wide areas or up front. You've got, I don't even know if these players are fit, but you've got Zaha, you've got Elise, you've got Eze, you've got this guy, that guy. Ayew always turns into Ronaldo against us. So if Arsenal haven't defended well enough, you know, we're probably going to take our chances in front of your goal, or I hope so, because we've been one of the most clinical teams in the league, but we will give you a chance. And fair enough, you're not going to see too many emotional games like how the Bournemouth game was, for example, but there has been those moments. More so at home. Home has probably been where the more emotion, and I don't know why, but where the more emotional Arsenal games have been. Even when we beat United, that could have went either way. They took the lead, then we equalized and took the lead, then they equalized, then obviously Nketiah at the end. You know, obviously you could even say Aston Villa at home, Fulham at home, to a degree West Ham at home, whether it's been coming back from behind, individual mistakes, late winners, all of that sort of jazz, people. It's kind of been like that. Of course, away from home, there's been elements of that. Not really for different, kind of the same crazy football scenarios, but for me, Leeds away will always stay with me out of all the games we played this season, just because in a way you saw against Bournemouth as well, to go back previously, in a way, as you saw against Bournemouth, that was a crazy game to show you why football's a great game. I also think Leeds was as well, because that was, I remember Ramsdale and Gabriel, they were like Spartans, they were trenches. It was one of them games where a bigger team comes away from home, give or take, saying bigger club than Leeds really, but away from home, you're kind of having to take a lot of punches. Away from home, that hasn't quite been the thing. Brighton, we did that. I felt cheap goals. I would also say Leicester, even though we won, started the season, there was that. Our more perfect performances have probably been away from home. Flawless at Crystal Palace, flawless at Stamford Bridge, flawless at Spurs, you know, relatively flawless at Brighton and whatnot. Even the Liverpool game, there was a bit of emotion in that. Not so much Spurs at home, but in terms of the penalty we gave away, actually comes from the transition and the middle half of Arsenal's pitch. If you lot remember rightly, a move broke down. Saka was dispossessed by Bentancur. At one point, we've got 7 players, you know, 7 players in the midfield against Spurs. I believe at the time, Kane and Son. The players transitioned to what obviously ultimately led to the penalty. So when you look back at goals conceded, yeah, you might blame one person, or one person could have been the last port of call to make something happen. But typically, there's several phases of play. Pedro Gonçalves, 9 times out of 10, a striker tries that, or a midfielder tries that, it's going into the stands, it's the keeper's catching it. But the one time it needed to happen in the game of that magnitude, you saw what happened to Arsenal Football Club. But right before that, Xhaka and Jorginho, who for me, I understand Mikel Arteta, Jorginho's done well, Xhaka's done well. You want to retain faith in your players. But specifically against Sporting Lisbon, we saw in the first leg kind of how that kind of troubles us. And they're the two who kind of made a hash of it in the middle of the park for my man to try that chance, and ultimately what was a stunner and rejuvenated them, and you know, they're through and we're out really. So we do, as a football club, we need to get better at the transitions. At this point in the season now, it's impossible and it's an illusion, but we near enough have to be perfect. We have to chase perfection. We have to crave perfection, because if you're going to pip City to a league title, you've got to do that and more. You know, what was that year? Liverpool were near enough perfect, and they still got lapped by City, and then they went and won it the following year or the year after that. City are a big team, you know. Again, one luxury is that a bunch of other people are in Europe now and we're not. And yeah, we could talk about that fatigue, jazz. You know, Ten Hag's already crying about injuries. The further they go in the Europa League and the FA Cup, I hope they go out, respectfully to Ben United, fan banter and that. That's the one luxury that obviously City got fantastic depth. But arguably by City standards, this is the best depth the team has seen. You've probably seen the absence, even though they're still Man City, they're still the big dogs, they're still them. You've probably seen at times where they could have dealt with a Zinchenko, or Gab Jesus, Raheem Sterling, and probably anyone else who's been injured or departed their football club in the last 12 months. So, yeah, man, we need our players back. And it's a double whammy. And this shows you why you can never have too much depth, in my opinion, because when some players get back fit, next guys start getting injured. And obviously, it's a bit sad because, God forbid, I don't like injuries for no one, but in isolation, if it was just Saliba injured, and we hope it's the best case scenario, you could say, well, maybe Benjamin can go over there, Tomiyasu can come back in, that could see us through for a bit, or vice versa of the suggestion just said. But both of them are injured, and the worry is who actually plays right back. You've got young Renell Waters at this stage in the season, is probably a big ask. Brooke Norton-Cuffy probably wouldn't be ready either, but he's on loan. Obviously, I guess that someone would have to do it. Reece Nelson played fullback under Wenger in the Europa League a couple of times. That was in a back three. On that, will Mikel Arteta maybe even have to change systems? I don't know. So you can never have too much depth, really. But I'd say for us to go forward as a football club, we need to chase perfection for now, what's left of this season and further forward. We need to probably, we need to revamp the midfield. We could do with a couple of players. Credit to everyone who's been involved and obviously the key players at the club. But pardon me, we evidently need curtain raisers in the same way Zinchenko, Jesus have lifted it. We need that. Tomiyasu and Smith Rowe are still my guys, key part of last season, injury prone this season. But you can see why, again, we're Arsenal fans. We always sit here and say anything happens to Thomas Partey, we're in trouble. With respect to when El Nene's come in, Jorginho's come in, respectfully to them, they've done it in their own way, But I didn't quite agree with Arsenal fans saying Jorginho is problems for Partey. Yeah, there's games he can come in and do his thing, and there's games Partey will slack off. But there's an evident, respectfully to both men, there's an evident golf in quality. Jorginho can get in the starting lineup and do well, as he has done in previous games, isolated to this week. But he's more of a squad man. Partey was brought to be a curtain raiser. So we probably need to revamp our midfield, really, especially if we're going into Europe, really. So we'll have to see. But we do probably, if it was up to me, a centre mid or two or maybe three, I'd assess right back. I have to argue, I do think a fit Tomiyasu who can fill in at centre back. And shout out to Rob Holding, but could you make a case of signing another centre back? I know Kyrgios a left-sided centre back. Could you sign a right one? You have to probably move for another left back if Kieran Tierney keeps it moving. If you could, I would like a striker or someone that could play out wide and in the two. An ideal world would be Balogun returns from loan, and he's a absolute superstar for us, kind of like the rest. But we'll have to see exactly what happens in that regards, man. But injury is always a worry. We really, really need quality in the summer, but should have done better at Sporting. And people saying focus on the league, should always be competing for trophies. Man are saying, do we have the squad? But look what's happened now. Injuries is one reason. I didn't want to stay in Europa. We might not now even win. Yeah. Felt Arteta didn't give the Europa League the respect it deserved. A bit harsh, man. I feel that in the FA Cup on a couple of occasions with Arteta. A bit harsh, man. He named 4 of his starting back 5. He went with experienced players in the middle. Yeah, he rotated the final third. I would have preferred Benjamin White, Partey, and Saka to have started in that game. On reflection, it looked like Arteta tried to give some defense. Maybe he's done it all wrong, really. Maybe he should have made the attacking changes. Because if you look at the two legs, he kind of played around with the defensive. He kept Zinchenko in, but he can't, Turner played, it was Saliba and Kyrgios. Obviously Benjamin White was there, but he kind of messed around more defensively. And then at home, he kind of went for stability at the back and a bit more creative luxury going forward with some of the players coming in. Maybe he should have done it backwards, but I wouldn't say that, man. I think he's taking it seriously. I think, again, even going back to the start in the group stages, fans were sitting there and saying, oh, he needs to rest players and that, really. So it's a mixed one, but I wouldn't say that. I'm definitely, one gripe with Arteta would be, how he manages 2 competitions. And I just feel generally, since we've won the as much as I love Mikel Arteta, but we ask questions. I'm not been happy since we won the FA Cup in how we played in the FA Cup. Fair enough, we played City, it's Man City. We rotated and we did quite well, but it feels fans are taking pride in the fact that it weren't our strongest team at the time, and we kind of gave City a game. Ake scored in that. I hear that it's true. People did their thing, but again, cup competition, we went out like, I just want to grab trophies, scumbag trophies. It's not that's all that matters, but in the end, that's all that matters, man. So when we're saying Mikel Arteta is the big dog, he's won this, he's won that, certain man won a little league cup, and they're wassing it, people. So it's what we need, man. It is what it is. I hope we don't, but it's a madness. Arsenal don't kill games off in the first leg of Europa League games. Amen. I want Savic indefinitely. We need another key passer as Odegaard gets doubled up on. I don't think we have the team depth to go for both trophies, but that's done now. We need to go all out for the league. Holding was ish. I don't know what the guys... To be fair, I think Holding got class, but I don't think Holding, was the worst player on the pitch. Zaha versus Holding it is long, and obviously when you play when you play Crystal Palace, obviously they've got Elise, they've got Eze, they've got Zaha, they've got interchanging movement, they've got skillers. It's not just the fullback that has to deal with that. Sometimes, kind of, anyone that watched the Champions League where Liverpool recently played Real Madrid, Trent was obviously getting ripped. But who did you see out there trying to help him? Konate. And Holding is a bit awkward at that. He can step in, nick the ball, or maybe make the tactical foul. And I'm not even criticizing Holding. It's just a weakness of yours. When Holding is pulled out wide, he's in trouble, His best, there was a time where he was actually excelling in the back three, excelling at Arsenal. And one thing about Rob Holding always makes me feel, do you know when he was in that, before he got that big injury against Man United, he was in, I'm not saying he was going to be the best defender ever, but he was really in a decent bit of form. It looked like he's arrived now and whatnot. He's had his moments, but one game that will stick out with me would also, as much as I big up Holding for the FA Cup final against Costa, people, smash the like button, Twitch gang, one love. We need to remember last season, before he got sent off, you could see he was stressed with Son, and Son was street smart. He kind of knew what he was doing, and Holding played into that. And I feel Holding was a bit too emotional in that. I don't know about the Gundogan transfer. Could be good though, but I would need long-term solutions sorted too. That's true. And Gundogan would tie in with experience, but also at the same time, you'd have Granit, especially if he signs a new deal. He's going to be here to his to his, in his 30s. Jorginho's obviously that already. El Nene, Partey's moving in that direction. Indirectly, again, Partey's contracted until 2025. It's 2023. Surely, maybe not the top of priorities, but indirectly, that's a new deal that they've got to be thinking about. Arteta has to be spontaneous with his lineups going forward. He cannot be predictable. I hear that, but then people say he's not playing his best players and whatnot. I don't really agree with that. I think a large part as to why Arsenal are where they are right now. Yes, you need to rotate, know when to play the game. This guy looks burnt out. This guy's been impressing in his little 1, 2, 10 minutes, start him, and all of those things. But a big reason as to why Arsenal is doing well off the field as well as on it this season, stability. We're playing the same players, give or take whether they're making mistakes. Relationships are being built with Zinchenko, with Benjamin White, with Gabriel, with Saliba, with Ramsdale, with how Ramsdale communicates to the back four in front of him, with how the left and right back and the left back is well, actually that as well, but how the right-sided centre-back and the right-back and on the other side, how they communicate, how they tie into the midfield, because midfield have to help them, and the front players and things like that, and the relationships built up front. Trossard and Martinelli, Jesus and Martinelli, Trossard and Martinelli, Eddie Nketiah when he's come in, Saka and Odegaard, I feel, Benjamin White and Bukayo Saka. As much as I like Tomiyasu, you see a much better Saka when he's playing with Benjamin White, because Benjamin White, there's more variety in what you're doing. You do go narrow, but he makes more of a centre half than kind of Tomiyasu and Tierney in their own ways try and be inverted fullback. But he does that. He knows when to underlap. He knows when to overlap. He allows Saka to receive the ball, when he's running onto it in a bit of space, either in behind or in front of him. Versus with Tomiyasu, Saka's having to drop to the half. Not a criticism, it's just an observation. Saka has to drop to the halfway line, and that's good. 1-2 times you're going to have to do that. But if you're a defender of an opposition and Saka's one of the most dangerous players in the league, he's at the halfway line. You got 10 players behind him and 3 players are close to him, just kicking the hell out of him. You rather that. When you can't see Saka and he's running in behind and Odegaard's doing his thing, that's when you're scared. And I feel you see, simply put, our attackers with certain players are closer to the final third of the opposition. You're more likely to score. No Saliba in defense makes me nervous. Injuries happen. We're just going to have to get on with it, man. I think it's down towards Arteta having faith in his players. Penalties can go either way, but you just come up short, but I'm sure you'll bounce back. I'm not vexed about the penalties. Yeah, I'm disappointed Martinelli missed. My heart bleeds with him. Ramsdale maybe could have saved a couple, but like you said, it's the lottery, and it didn't happen. There'll be times, and there has been times in cup competitions where it's that in it, people. So yeah, man, we'll have to see. We'll have to see, really and truly. So yeah, man, like. Crave perfection, mate. You grew up watching Wenger. You don't know ball, real talk. Fair enough, man. You have to ask yourself why you're here. Again, in life, you crave perfection. If you was to ask Muhammad Ali, Mayweather, Cristiano Ronaldo, Lionel Messi, Lewis Hamilton, Rafa Nadal, because Arteta said that's an idol, do you think they'll ever be perfect? Perfection is something you've got to crave. Am I ever going to be the most perfect content creator? No, but that's what you crave. If you want to be the best bodybuilder, how can you be better today? Can we listen or can we not speak? You've got 2 of those. One of these, use the ratio. But God bless you, man. Ignorance is truly bliss. One love, man, for you being tuned in on Twitch. But anyways, DG praying on our downfall. Classic. Come on, man. You're far from deluded with this point of sensible view. Big up yourself. Appreciative, man. It is what it is, man. And I'm so happy you mentioned George Graham. George Graham. You know, 1-0 to the Arsenal chance. Why do you think that came? Because we score a goal and defend amicably and defend very well. You think that he weren't craving perfection in every training ground of, every training session of every one of his players and collectively how they're doing? Thank you, man. So if you're trolling, man, but come on now, man. It is what it is. God bless you. I wouldn't have started Partey, Odegaard, Saka, or Zini, or Saliba. Well, then what would have happened, man? Shout out yourself, Marcel. Appreciative to you lot tuned in. Oh, weird brothers. Spurs just spurs it up. Nah, no way. Come on, Southampton. No way. I just blocked that foot. This is the thing. There's weird. You see why? Can I just say this, yeah? If you don't like my content, if you don't like me, that's fair enough. By all means, hate. But why are you following on Twitch and why are you subbed? Like, you're literally, big up everyone. Make sure you're following with Amazon Prime. You've literally done that. You're helping the platform. What is up with you, man? Like, what's going on, man? Talk to me, man. Therapy session, man. Allow me. Hey, come on. Hey, Southampton. Hey, let me stay humble because we ain't played. Hey, Theo Walcott scored as well. Theo. Oi. Spursy. Oi. Arsenal, do your job, please. Please do your job, man. Spurs doing what they do best. Lovely stuff. Lovely stuff. We've had continuity in our first 11, allowing relationships to be built, making us better. There you have it. Dead Gundogan, just go for Savic at 28 and experience and quality. We already have Jorginho for the senior experience. Can I ask a question, DG? Can I ask a serious question? Would you prefer United's running Europa? What, Betis? Yeah, well, in hindsight, yeah, because it looked like Sporting put up more of a fight, but Olympiacos, Sporting, respectfully to Sporting, because they deserve it. It weren't quite the same as that. I'm sure there's a couple more as well. Villarreal bopping us. So to a degree, I've seen the kind of same old things. Gavdal would be lit, man. I'm curious as to why Martinelli took a pen as he played 120 minutes. Everyone else who took were fresher than him. Bro, because I have to assume in training, you're one of the most confident. Martinelli wanted to step up and take it, innit? Like, I respect it. Big bollocks to step up and take it. You miss, it happens. Hold it. And we move on. I think for Martinelli, I don't know if it was the occasion or the emotion, but you've been a hero for us so many times. You missed the pen. It's calm. Get back. It's as simple as that. But what I would say in terms of getting better, not that I can tell a professional footballer anything about taking a penalty and whatnot, and taking a penalty, probably a bit too choreographed. He took it too quickly. It was just a madness, man. Perfection is an illusion, but it's something you always work for. There you have it, man. Free, love it. Ainsley won a pen. Aye, Halen Demons, we're loading. Exactly, pour over two legs. And I don't know, maybe it's because in the league, obviously, 9 times out of 10 this season, we've been perfect in the league. But I don't know, is it a thing where even if we've done bad in games, in the league, we know there's 38 games, you know, you go back again, you go next week. Obviously, it's not quite the same in the Europa League. So is there maybe a subconscious sort of complacency? Because I don't think it's conscious. I don't think my players do that, man. I mean, if you put the money down, you can have what you want. Shout out to Ward Prowse. Fair play to Martinelli. And it's a mental thing, really. But for me, my thing isn't really penalties. It's more, how did we get there? You know, because 180 minutes of football plus the extra half an hour, really, you know, across the two legs. How did we get there? Because if you look at across both legs, we took the lead twice. Why didn't we hold on to that? We conceded one goal from a set piece. We conceded an absolute sizzler, goal of the season, goal of the century contender. But what did we do? Messed about in midfield. Why did it get like that? In fact, the second goal away from Sporting Lisbon as well, the second goal we conceded, big up them because they did their thing. But that goal, I'm talking about in the first leg, that shouldn't have happened. You know, and we weren't clinical in either legs. We weren't clinical as we had to do, you know, respectfully to Sporting Lisbon. And this is why football is a fantastic game, because you got to go out there and do the job. And I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure Arsenal Football Club are one of the top goal scorers in the Premier League and probably in the top 5 divisions. I can't say the same for Sporting Lisbon. If they are, fair enough, really. So by that, why did we not score enough goals? Shout out to Sporting because they were committed numerous aspects. I'd say the defensive highlight, again, is probably in the first leg where, Martinelli's denied, ironically on the topic of Martinelli, pardon me, is denied that fantastic run forward, but it weren't meant to be, was it? It weren't meant to be, man. It really just weren't meant to be. Big up you lot, man. Team Harrison, I thought you was a mod still. Nonetheless, it is what it is. Let's get you involved. Where are you? Thought you was a mod, but there you go, lad. Pattern that up. Midfield was clumsy. And I'm not just blaming the individual midfielders. It's just clearly across the field, we didn't do what we needed to do. Go away, mate. I knew he was missing that pen when he was nervous. Man was bouncing the ball, spitting a bunch. The rest of our players walked up the ball down and banged it. I mean, I'll never know why he missed. I just think he was a bit too excited. In my opinion, a bit too hungry to take it. But you never know, man. I don't know how deep the preparation went, but realistically, penalties is something we should always be working on. In training, there must have been, after Mikel Arteta is doing what he's doing from them tactically and all of that jazz, he must have sat there and said, it could go to penalties, so let's work on penalties. And I don't know historically if Martinelli is one of the best penalty takers at the club. Don't think we have the mentality for Europe, and Ramsdale can't be blamed the amount of times he saved us in the 2 legs. There you have it. Ultimately, in 210 minutes of football, we didn't do enough and weren't good enough. Play stupid games, win stupid prizes, and we deserve to go out. We need to add 3 or 4 quality players to our squad next season to compete in the Champions League. I hate everything about the Europa League. I hope we never play in that competition again. Fair play to Sporting, though. They played great. Also, Sporting's keeper put a masterclass. Exactly. Adan did well. He did very well, but I also saw in the Champions League him make a couple of mistakes, and at times against us, he looked shaky. But why did we make him come out with some credibility? We don't need any young 8s and 10s. We have Emil Smith-Rowe and Fabio Vieira. I hear that. I mean, if Mikel wants what he wants, go and get it done, man. I ain't going to tell him, man, you can't have it. Next season, next season will be ready for Europe. I don't know, man. It's a different ball game, and I think experience can be overrated, but it can't be overstated, man. And experience doesn't always mean age. It just means learning from these lessons. It's not about being, especially in cup competition, you can't really sit here and say we had more possession, we're the better team, we did this and that if you're out. It's we're eating or you're not eating. So it is kind of what it is in that regard. So we see what's going on in terms of news and all of those sort of things, people. Let's see what's going on as well. Keep your thoughts on whatnot coming. Start with Saliba's injury news and whatnot, and what these headlines are saying. Arsenal face a nervous wait over the fitness of William Saliba, with the French defender to be assessed ahead of their clash with Crystal Palace after he picked up an injury against Sporting Lisbon. William Saliba is a doubt for Arsenal's trip to Crystal Palace on Sunday afternoon. The French defender hobbled off of the Gunners' 1-1 draw with Sporting Lisbon. As you know, Tomiyasu is also set to miss out on the Selhurst Park trip, people. Allegedly, some people are also saying in relation to Saliba, a late fitness test will be the case. Arsenal are sweating on the fitness of defender William Saliba heading into Sunday's crucial clash with Crystal Palace. Thursday's Europa League defeat by Sporting took a significant physical and mental toll on Mikel Arteta's side also as well. Yep. Saliba and Tomiyasu were both taken off in the first half before several teammates seemed to suffer niggles and cramps by the penalty shootout. Well, they had an extra half an hour, so, and we've had a lot of games to play. So yeah. Wait, what's all of that? Oh, I thought something happened there, but it's calm. It went on to say Tomiyasu is set to miss Sunday's game. The fullback left the Emirates on crutches, having appeared to injure his knee in a nasty fall. Immediately after the game, Arteta admitted the issue looked pretty serious. Boy, so if it's his knee, we all know it's probably the worst. We hope for the best. We hope and wish Tomiyasu a speedy recovery. But yeah, man. Allegedly on Saliba, he said he had some discomfort and could not continue. So we hope that's nothing serious, people. Apparently, Arteta also said, we've been carrying injuries throughout the season. We had Smith-Rowe out for 4 months, Gabriel Jesus for 4 months, Tomiyasu for a month and a half. Thomas Partey for a month and a half. Alex Zinchenko for 2.5 months, Eddie for a month and a half. We've had quite a lot of injuries already, but we dealt with it. The disappointment is not going through away. It's there now, but there's also clarity. It's 11 games to go, and we now have a final against Crystal Palace. We have to recover and put all our focus there and win. Fair enough, Gaffer, fair enough. On the topic of that, don't forget, people, smash the like button on this vid, turn on your notifications, and smash the like button on this, because also tomorrow, live from 1 p.m. because we kick off at 2. We're doing a watch along together. Apparently, Tomiyasu is also withdrawn from the Japan squad, people, so he won't be linking up with his fellow Japanese players as well, adding fuel to the fire. Big up Smith Rowe, though, because he's been called up to England's under-21s, and I'm quite happy for that because you could use that to get some minutes under your legs as well. Tomiyasu was pulled out of the Japan squad due to an injury that he suffered in Arsenal's Europa League clash against Sporting, so it don't look good where Tomiyasu is concerned, but we hope to be wrong. Apparently, this article said there are whispers. Journalist claims Arsenal star could be out for the rest of the season. According to Tom Canton, shout out Tom, man, my guy. Tomiyasu could be out for the rest of the season with an injury. I want to see specifically to what he said. We did suffer some injuries. Tomiyasu could be out for the rest of the season, is my understanding on that, which is a really frustrating one. They're still awaiting the final assessment of that, but there are whispers that the assessment of his knee is not great. Maybe the scan will reveal that it's not as bad as many fear. Hopefully that is the case, man. But Arteta said it looks pretty serious, and Arteta don't give much away when tragedy is struck straight away. You know, he was Arsenal were a bit coy on El Nene's injury, for example. We kind of knew, we was kind of asking why is he not about. A bit with Tomiyasu, we're a bit cute and clever. You know, Arteta was a bit coy about Gabriel Jesus, you know, Trossard as well. So we'll have to wait. Thomas Partey as well at periods. So once again, Saliba, Arsenal were forced to take Saliba out of Thursday's game after only 21 minutes with an unspecified issue that left the defender limping, although he was able to walk off the pitch unaided. It's unclear whether he suffered a genuine injury or if he came off as a precaution given his team's title fight. Saliba was reportedly spotted without any visible strappings as he left the ground. So we'll have to see, man. Hopefully he's able to be there. Tomiyasu, we just said it looks serious, people. Tomiyasu looks serious, looks pretty serious from his reaction straight away after what he said to me, but obviously it's very early. Eddie Nketiah, he's on his way back to full fitness. He's in rehabilitation, but he still remains a few weeks away from returning after picking up an ankle knock. Arteta said he's getting better. He's still in the boot. He's still a few weeks away, and we need to be patient. It was a nasty injury, and he has a big challenge ahead of him. Thank God it could have been worse, so he's not in a bad place. As we know, El Nene isn't coming back anytime soon either. Moving away from that, again, the hustle is free. The dream is sold separately. Arsenal line up huge new Moise Caicedo bid. Arsenal reportedly planning a fresh bid for Brighton midfielder Caicedo this summer. The Gunners pushed to sign the 21-year-old Ecuador international in January, but saw a 70 million bid rejected by the Seagulls. Caicedo then put pen to paper on a new bumper deal on the South Coast, extending his stay at Brighton until 2027 with the option to extend for a further year. Caicedo's new contract seemingly took him off the market, but it's understood that Arsenal have not given up on their pursuit of the Premier League star and are lining up another bid for the midfielder this summer. Brighton were aware that a new deal might not fend off all interest, but they wanted to ensure they receive a huge fee for their star player should they sell him, people. We'll have to see what that says. And again, this is what's being said as well, you know, just on the Sun. So we'll have to see exactly what's being done there. But they'll probably price him out of a move. Gundogan, you know, his contract's running out. One report says he's going to stay at City. The other said he's going to leave. He's been linked with Barcelona on a free transfer and apparently indirectly Arsenal. But apparently the midfielder in the English club have not reached an economic agreement for now. Barcelona is not willing to pay the amounts that he demands either. Either the salary is loaded or he will not join, obviously, but he's the closest option for Barcelona if finally a midfielder is signed. City have not accepted for now the conditions that Gundogan wishes to continue, so Barca probably don't want to give him financially at this moment in time what he wants. City are still at loggerheads as to whether he's staying or not. So we'll have to see, people. In England, there are clubs like Arsenal that are interested, but the footballer would prioritize playing in Spain and at Barca, a club that already proved him when he played for Borussia Dortmund. Probably doesn't want to join another project, really and truly. So fair enough. Arsenal now confident of winning the race to sign 75 million West Ham United midfielder Declan Rice, according to Ben Jacobs, people. Specifically, we know that Rice is going to be one priority for Arsenal, and even at the lower end of estimations, he's going to cost you around 75 million. David Moyes has said on record that he believes that Declan Rice could cost the equivalent to Enzo Fernandez's British record transfer fee. So Arsenal are prepared to enter that type of race, and they're confident of winning it. Okay, but that's not anything we haven't been told before. 22-year-old is now Arsenal's top summer target ahead of Declan Rice. According to reports out of Turkey, you know, Sasha Boy, the Galatasaray right back, is ahead of Declan Rice in the pecking order. Two separate positions, but nonetheless. Apparently, Balogun's been speaking and he admits frustration over role before Ream's loan at Arsenal, people. Let's see exactly what he said. Arsenal's Folarin Balogun has admitted becoming frustrated at the Gunners last summer, which paved the way for him to join Reims on loan instead of having a first team role. Last summer, I went on tour with the first team to America and I didn't get any playing time out there, so I was a bit frustrated naturally. It's one of my dreams to just play in the first team. I had to be realistic at the same time. I spoke to Mikel Arteta and he gave me a few options, and together we decided it'd be best for me to come to France. Fair enough. Apparently, 90 Minute understands that Arsenal are determined to keep Balogun around this summer and are preparing for talks with the young striker when his loan with Reims comes to an end, people. Allegedly, on the topic of Balogun, AC Milan have an active interest in the Arsenal sensation, it says here. Apparently, they're tracking him. And I mean, he's 21 years of age and he's playing well. He's naturally going to be on the radar of a lot of clubs. And because it's not known if he'll be in Arsenal's first team. So we'll have to see. Apparently, Milan are not alone in their pursuit of the forward, with a host of top clubs keen. Smash the like button, people. Keen on his signature in a deal that will cost in the region of 35 to 40 million if Arsenal decide to sell. He's contracted until 2025. AC Milan have scouted Balogun extensively this season and are keen on securing his services should Arteta decide he's not in his plans. The forward has been so impressive his season where they're raised eyebrows at his omission from the England squad, with fears he would choose to represent America at international level. He has been called up to England again at youth level. He has 10 appearances for Arsenal, 2 goals and assists. Currently, he's got 17 goals in 28 appearances, and I think they're playing tomorrow, so he might, by the time some of you watch this, he probably have time to better that. It's just one of my dreams to just play in the first team, keeping up the Balogun theme, people, keeping up the Balogun theme. I thought it'd be good for my development and a good challenge. I want to compete and there's a lot more to come. Early in my time here, there was a change of manager. Will still stepped in as the replacement. It's not like we had to get a replacement from the outside, which nobody knew. Everyone was familiar with Will, so it really helped everyone. He's made the environment at the club really pleasant, and especially for me coming from England, it's always nice when you can communicate with the manager and he can tell you directly what he wants from you. So yeah, it's good. Every now and again, sometimes he gets under my skin. If I want to shut him up, then I need to put the ball in the net. Amen. But they only want the best for you. And I'm sure at times you frustrate him, but that's what the nature of the beast is. So I think it's brought out a good side to me as well. And then obviously we just discovered what he said about the loan. And he said on going to Reims, I just thought I was another player coming here to do a job like those other loan players as well. But then I'd say after the announcement and I saw the reaction, I knew that it was quite a big deal. And then the second part sets in where there was a bit more expectation on me than other players. I mean, that's something I had to adapt to and something I had to just relish. So I knew there were going to be a team fighting and every game was going to be tough and difficult. I thought it'd be good for my development and a challenge. I was also aware, of course, that it's Liga, which is a top 5 league in Europe. So I knew it was going to be a big challenge. And I also had a lot of belief in myself. A lot of people might forget that I'm still an Arsenal player. How Mikel Arteta has transformed the squad has been amazing. So, I mean, I'm pretty focused here at Reims, determined to show people that this isn't a blip. This is something that I could do consistently. I love that. That's the best thing I've heard, because I specifically mentioned the blips. Have you a blip? Footballers are going to go through good form and bad form, but show that now your levels, not that this is just a great season. How many times have we seen that? To next season, this is the honeymoon period. Everybody's wowed by Balogun. It's amazing. Now there's expectation, and you know how football fans are. With every great game, you're a superstar. With every shaky game, you're overrated, and you might not be the truth. So we'll have to see, man. There are a lot more questions sometimes when you're achieving more things. Could he do it? Was it a fluke? When I first came here, I wouldn't have expected that. But to now be in this position is amazing. I just want to continue again. And then finally, the last 2 kind of bits of it, people. He directly understood that he had to settle into the team. This is what Will still said, and understand what the team wanted from him. But also, he had to work incredibly hard. He could score right foot, left foot. From his first game, he showed all the qualities he's got. The composure in that Paris Saint-Germain game, the equalizer that he scored, just shows the amount of talent that he's got. He's a quiet kid, but when he does talk up or when he does say things, he's got a brain and his banter is pretty good. Fair enough. So it shows you're a good people person as well. At the start of the season, I was the assistant coach, and the board came and told us towards the middle of August, that Balogun was going to come and join us. And we just sat there and had an honest conversation about what's the first objective. What are we looking at doing? How far can you get? His first message was, Will, I want to get to 10 goals as soon as possible. Then when we got 10 goals, then it was, okay, what's the next step? What are we pushing on for now? I think his next goal is 20. I mean, for a striker to sit there and say he got 20 league goals is amazing, really. And for what it's worth, I don't know how credible or not Steve K is, but Arsenal are to reject all Balogun transfer bids. Arsenal will not consider selling Balogun this summer and will turn down any bids for the 21-year-old hitman, people. So yeah, as we know, he's progressing. He's contracted until 2025. So we're gonna have to see exactly what happens, people. He is wanted by not only AC Milan but allegedly Inter Milan. So we'll have to see what we do with him and whatnot. And naturally, Arteta, we don't even need to read this. Arteta and Arsenal will be aware of what he's doing out there on loan. It's just common sense, really. Arsenal to be joined by Chelsea and Declan Rice transfer race this summer with club highly interested in West Ham star. I mean, we kind of knew that. We have to be braced for a fight. Tottenham are monitoring Leeds midfielder Morten Højgård ahead of a potential summer move, but he would prefer a move to Arsenal. Never seen him. Bring him. Bring him immediate. Bring him. But just because of that, bring him. Real Madrid, City and Arsenal interested in Mitoma as Brighton prepare record new deal for the star man, following on with McAllister and Caicedo then. So not really much to read in there. Obviously, Odegaard's going to be disappointed about that. Again, just highlights our importance with Gabriel Jesus. Obviously, only Rodri and reported Arsenal target Declan Rice have one possession more than Arsenal's William Saliba this season with 206. Rodri, you're more than welcome to join us as well. What did Arteta say here? We're at phase 3. Phase 3 is a period of time and we're a little bit ahead of schedule. It's something a little bit private. It's just my understanding and vision of what the club was doing and what we have to capture and develop. I like to do it looking forward first, and then you have to do it backwards. It's just my idea of the club and the decisions we have to take to move forward. Fair enough, Gaffer. To wrap up this sort of segment, people, what's exactly been said here? Oh, wow. You'd think when you refresh it, take you to the top of the page. But Arsenal plot mega money, Moise Caicedo bid, people. What that means, I don't know. But apparently, Arsenal are contemplating a fresh move for Caicedo in the summer in order to bolster Mikel Arteta's midfield department. Apparently, Celta Vigo's starlet wants Arsenal move in the immediate future. Gabby Vega wants to move to Arsenal. According to AS, Vega dreams of playing for Arsenal in the immediate future, despite interest from Liverpool, United and Real Madrid. We're keen on signing Eden Hazard. I don't think anyone believes that. We've been linked with Julian Brand again. Mikel Arteta is monitoring Xavi Simons' development, and he saw firsthand what he could do. 35 million, 40 is the price you have to pay if you want to sign Kieran Tierney. And as you can see, there's a bunch of news. Moussa Diaby interest, Jonathan David interest. So yeah, Zubamendi would be good for us, wouldn't he, people? So yeah, with that, I don't think there's anything we haven't covered really and truly. So yeah, smash the like button and subscribe if you haven't. Don't forget, we're doing watch along settings tomorrow, people. And what else have we got? Would like to see him cook at Brighton or Palace. Who? You're talking about Balogun. I mean, Palace could be good for you. If Southampton stay up, why not somewhere where they're going to have to, a bit like Reims, they haven't got unlimited resources and you're kind of guaranteed to play all the time, really. A Prem loan is the real litmus test. I hear that. What do you think of Balogun's value if he finishes as top goal scorer? 45, 50, probably should be higher than that based on his age. I mean, he's English, he's young, he's a good player. Whether he was good or not, it comes down in this day and age as to how good you could hustle. Solanke was sold by Liverpool for big cash at once upon a time. We've seen Gylfi Sigurdsson go for 50 odd million. He's got his best years in front of him in Balogun. So to a degree, it's what you could hustle. Really, Rice party. No watch alongs today, DG. Damn, man. Tomorrow, Arsenal Palace settings. Speaking of Arsenal Palace after this, I think at 6:20. It won't be a live stream, but I'm off to record I'm not off, it'll be here, but I'm going to record a Crystal Palace preview with a Crystal Palace fan. So that will come out later today. So check out for that. Saliba news kind of went through it. We should get Leao. You say that, and I wouldn't mind it, but unless Leao can assure me you can play off the right-hand side and be competition for Saka, or Arteta is going to convert him into a striker, I don't see the point. Like, you'd be a great option off the left, but if anywhere in Arsenal's attack, out of the left wing, the right wing, and up front, if anywhere's looks where we've got a couple of options if everybody's fit, it probably is the left-hand side. I'm forcing it because he plays on the right-hand side, but Saka can play there. He's never going to come back, but Pepe on paper can go over there as well. Probably prefers to play on the right. You've got Reece Nelson to be used there as well. You've obviously got Martinelli and Smith Rowe. You can force it and put Jesus there if Eddie Nketiah comes into the lineup. You've obviously got Trossard. Again, a lot of these players can play in other roles, but there's not that wealth of options on the right-hand side or up front. So it would just be adding towards already a good area. Don't get twisted. Be happy with Leao. I think he's a good player and all of that. But yeah, Tini needs to do a thing. Do you subconsciously think the boys thought we could pattern it in the second leg or score a last-minute goal leading to complacency? Probably indirectly. We need another centre-back. The holding drop-off is crazy. Saka missed a penny for England. This can either grow Martinelli or break him. Interested to see what his mentality is. Just keep going, man. When you woke up the next day, just forget about that and keep it moving, really, would be my advice. Just keep it moving. not that we're gonna forget the Europa League, but you're a hero if we potentially win a league or any other cup in the future, and also if you do the business on Sunday. And there's been many times you've stepped up. Leal's overrated for what he'd cost. Gav Dal for Tierney, 2 different positions, although he can play left back, but I'm not too sure about that one. Caicedo, Rice, Sane, Fresnadar. Sane's going to cost a bit too much, really. Quality player, but I need to see certain things before we go out and really sanction that. If it was just on ability, of course, but it's going to come on big wages, can barely stay fit. From a player of his quality, I don't really see that consistently, Leroy Sané. And if we need curtain raisers, Mane went into Liverpool's front three. Mane came in, lifted it. Salah came in, lifted it. The next couple of signings, obviously not everyone, but we need people like Jesus and Zinchenko for us that are going to lift this. If Brewster can sell for 25 million, then Balogun conversations shouldn't even be starting for anything less than 40 million. I want Ndika for centre-back, to be honest, and that midfield needs a revamp quickly, and a right winger, take advantage of free agents where possible. I hear you and whatnot, but we just bought on left side. I'm not saying Ndika is a bad option, but surely we've just bought a centre back and he's on the left hand side. We don't have that other right side. Technically, if Saliba isn't there, Tomiyasu could play centre back. Benjamin White can move back over there. But if you could get someone who's a better stopgap signing than Rob Holding, then yeah. But again, we need to remember as well. I'm not saying Rob Holding, but we probably have to remember the homegrown rules and things like that. So yeah, it is what it is. But with that being said, though, people, I'm not going to take up any more of your afternoon. I'm off to go and have some late lunch, and then I'm going to go record this preview vid. Make sure you're checking that out. Again, people, we'll be watching live from 1 p.m. tomorrow, Crystal Palace versus Arsenal. I hope you've all had a great weekend. I hope your week has been great. And if we don't see each other, I hope next week is even better. If you haven't hit the like button or subscribed, make sure you're doing such. The most important thing is to hit the like button, people. That pushes our platform and the YouTube algorithm out there. So, yeah, in a bit, you lot, man.
There's always just that active red flag defenders. I think it's like
Tongue